Landing Stewart. Momentarily just land there just for the experience. So we're going to land up at Johns Island. We'll be at 500 feet. Johns is to the east of Stewart. And they'll be landing 27 Stewart. At Stewart there's Stewart East and Stewart West. Stewart West is at the other end of the island and is known as a very difficult one-way in, one-way out runway. Has a terrible accident record. They generally don't kill people there, but they break a lot of airplanes. At Stewart East, it's much more forgiving. You got good approach on both ends, and easy to get in and out. The challenge at Stewart is a deer, and this time of day we won't have much deer there. I say that. But every landing at Stewart you have to assume is going to be a go-around. In other words, you have to be spring-loaded, ready to go around if a deer pops up in the deer seem to be more active than normal. Stewart 916 short final 27 Stewart. So it's early in the morning and the grass could be wet. We'll assume we'll have minimal braking activity. We'll be going slightly uphill. So as you land to the west, it's uphill, obviously downhill going eastbound. So generally people land to the west, take off to the east. So we're now right on our target at 500 feet, 75 knots. We'll slow it down to 60 knots. Our short final will be 60 knots. Again, spring-loaded to go around. Right now I don't see any deer on the runway. Winds are calm. We typically land with we're flying right over Johns Island right now, and there's a runway, 1,100-foot runway that runs north and south right under us. And the guy that used to fly there is deceased. He rolled a tractor on himself mowing the grass there. We also look for walkers at the end of the runway here. Fairly often this time of day walkers are around in their non-compass menace. Still no deer on full flaps. I'm right at 60 knots. Deer one more time. Like we got a very slight wind out of the west. Normally the wind's out of the east here. Our hangar's to the right, that big metal one on the right.
Upper traffic, Continental 06 Delta. 1 mile final.
And there's George working on his boat.
Final, we're just coming up mid.
Grass is in good shape.
1,100. And we'll be crossing the field and joining left downwind runway 16 and looking for the tropical fun.
So you're at Stewart International. The other end of the field is the Roche Harbor. Two harbors on the island, Reed on the south, Prebus on the north. We have a small dinghy dock on the east end of the west end of the runway, east end of the harbor. To our left over here is what we call the mail shed. That mail shed is used for people waiting for planes or a place to drop off mail package.
We're just turning our downwind now.
Stewart East 916 departing 209. Here's my van. Someone's got my van. Typical Stewart. I know it's my van because it's been painted. To our left here is the pod house. And you'll see these elevated pods. That's kind of a famous house here on the island. I'll continue our turn here and we'll get a picture of our house. And there's our house, kind of high up for that.
Traffic coming, 96510, coming up to Cattle Point, inbound for landing, Friday Harbor.
So now we're off of Stewart.
Traffic, Victor Bravo Alpha is final.
And you'll see the grass field in front of us, and that's the entrance into Stewart West. So I'm going to come over here a little bit, and you can see Stewart West. And I'll have it on your right-hand side, Fred. The mountain in front of us is called Tip Top, and from Tip Top, again, you're reported to be able to see something around 180 islands in U.S. and Canada. So now you got the view of the Stewart West airstrip in there, and you can see you fly up the valley and then make a dogleg right, land there, and again, it's got a terrible accident record rate, but it's not a real good place to go. Stuart Island is the northwest tip of continental U.S. And we'll go by the Lighthouse here in a second.
Okay, we'll be looking for you.
And
by Cattle Point here.
It's known as the northwest tip of the continental U.S. and trying to great spot the cattle at the Lighthouse to look for whales. A lot of ship traffic goes by going into Vancouver. Remodel the lighthouse, and you see that big solar system there. That's to power the surveillance system they put there to monitor activity of questionable people. So now you have the lighthouse there, and that'd be the tip of the northwest corner of the U.S. continental.
Traffic, be very top up, right?
As we come around here, we are able to see the view of Stewart East. We're at about 1,000 feet. And we'll go by Stewart East airstrip again. So we're facing east, and you see again Orcas. See Stewart, San Juan to the right, Jones Island in front of us, Jones Island farther east. You're starting to see the runway we just took off from. I'll come over a little closer so you can get a shot of that there, Fred.
California traffic, 85 top, 500 feet northwest bound, and have the...
And only one airplane there at the airport today. Stuart?
Hey, Mike. Go for the other one.
These two little islands is called Cactus and Cemetery, and they have been used for picnics on Mother's Day as a tradition on the island. There's a lady that lived to the age of 110 that would do a picnic there every Mother's Day up until she died. She lived here her entire life.
510 downwind for a runway.
Many years ago, many years ago, there was a tradition of the Haida Indians coming up the coast and capturing slaves and taking them up to Queen Charlotte Island. And she told me one time, remembered her mother hid her and her sister in the cave on Spiden Island to keep from being captured as slaves for the Indians. Her name was Toots Mills.
0 base to 165, over.
She was listed in National Geographic as one of the last 4 pioneers in the United States. They did an article on her and 3 other people a couple years ago. We'll go ahead and land to the east at Roche. This time we'll go over some trees that are kind of goofy looking. And we'll be going uphill, backing out to the end. Roche traffic, Skyline 916 on the left base for 07 Roche.
510 is over the high school for 165, over.
So you're starting to see the harbor, Roche Harbor coming in the sight. We'll pitch up to slow the plane down there. Roche 916 turning final 07 Roche. We look for which way the boats are, and they have to hang some way. That doesn't necessarily mean there's wind, but they got to be going some way. But right now, if you look, winds are pretty benign. The boats got to hang in different directions. So it tells me that the winds are going to be very benign. If they're all pointed exactly the same way, you got some real wind. But right now, it's pretty benign. Roche 916 final 07.